The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everybody. This is Brett Walters speaking. I'm the founder and president of the Homeschool Buyers Co-op. I'm wondering if somebody can just send me a comment. Just let me know that the audio is coming through. Send me a question, and you can see that on your go-to panel. I'd like to welcome you. Yes, audio is good. Thank you so much for doing that. And I can't quite make out your name. If I drag this off, I can make this wider, and then I can see who. Oh, that was Fangum. Thank you so much for that. And all the others of you, Layla and Julia, for letting me know. Appreciate that very much. Okay, so I'd like to welcome you to this introduction to the Young Scientist Challenge, which is the nation's premier science competition for students in grades 5 through 8. The challenge gives students the opportunity to win some pretty cool cash prizes and a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to work with some real scientists, not to mention the educational value of participating in a national competition. So to help us learn more about the challenge today, I have some special guests with me. In a moment, we'll be hearing first from Meghan DePollo, who works for Discovery Education as the Young Scientist Challenge Coordinator. Meghan will take a few minutes to give you an overview of the challenge, including some key dates. Then we'll open up the floor for Q&A with Meghan and our other very special panelists, two challenge finalists who were homeschooled, Chase Lewis and Srijay Kasturi, who are on the panel with me with their moms, Rochelle Lewis and Sudhita Kasturi. I want to brag for a moment that the Lewis and Kasturi families have been co-op members for several years, and though we don't take any credit for their achievements, we're very honored that they've taken time from their busy schedules to make themselves available to all of us today. Before we get started with Meghan's presentation, I have a couple housekeeping details. First of all, I am recording this session, both the audio and the video, and we'll make them available in the webinar section of the co-op website. There's a page there called Archived Webinars. So if you don't have to stress about taking notes or anything. You can come back and see the slides and listen to the audio later. Secondly, you should be seeing a slideshow. I don't know if you guys, can you see my pointer moving around? Would somebody send a comment or a question, let me know? Yes, okay, good. Okay, so by the way, here's the names of our folks today, Meghan DePollo and Chase and Srijay and Michelle and Sudhita. You should all have a panel, this thing I'm pointing at right here, which is the go-to webinar. And this, of course, so you've already figured out, is where you can type in your questions and then click the Send It button. So after we do the overview, after Meghan gives us the overview, then I'll open it up to Q&A. And when I do that, I'll be referring questions to our panelists. If you have a question for a specific member of the panel, please indicate to whom your question is directed. I'll try to get as many of your questions answered as I can during the hour. And finally, there's oftentimes, somebody with some kind of technical difficulty, and I want to apologize profusely in advance that I won't be able to provide tech support, because I've found that by the time I do, then the session's pretty much over, and I have to concentrate on what I'm doing here. However, I am recording it, so hopefully if you are having problems, you'll be able to come back and look at the recording, and I think the recording will work just fine for you. So with all that out of the way, let me hand it over to Meghan. And Meghan, I'm going to give you control of the television dial.
Great.
And take her away.
All right. Can everyone see the new slides up there, hopefully?
Yep.
Okay, great. As Brett said, my name is Meghan DePollo. I am a program manager for the Young Scientist Challenge, and I'm excited to tell you a little bit about the program today. It is one of my favorite things that Discovery Education has our hand in. It's a great partnership and always very exciting. So what is the Young Scientist Challenge? These are some shots, just so you know, from our final event that was just recently hosted in October at 3M's Innovation Center, but we'll get to that a little bit later. The Young Scientist Challenge is the nation's premier science competition for the grades 5 through 8. It's a partnership that Discovery Education has with 3M, a great innovation company that makes everything from Post-its to Band-Aids to your iPhone screens. Everything you can think of that has a tech-related thing, 3M probably has their hand in. The program, as I mentioned, is for grades 5th through 8. And as Brett mentioned, there are a lot of really exciting prizes that we put forth every year. So in 2013, our prizes were, the grand prize winner takes home $25,000, once-in-a-lifetime trips. This year was to Costa Rica, and these prizes will continue into next year. So our 2014 winner will also take home $25,000 and a trip from an education trip through our sponsors, Discovery Student Adventures. And just a little quick overview of how to enter. All of the entries are through a video submission, and our program is very much focused on communications, and so we ask people to explain what their idea is to solve a world problem. So thinking about communication, this is really something that sets our competition apart from other ones that may be around in the nation today. We are really looking for people who can become, not only are great at science and math, but are also really great at communicating their ideas and can access, make their ideas accessible to a broad audience. So the videos, we're not looking for a fully produced video. It doesn't have to be edited. It can simply be done on an iPhone video or a tablet. It doesn't need to be produced, but we're looking for that communication piece. Can you clearly explain your idea to an audience that might not be from a scientific background? Can you make it clear and concise and within that 2-minute span? And as I mentioned, you can use anything from a digital camera to your laptop camera to a cell phone. We're not looking for the production quality here. Here's a little glimpse into our prizes for this year. As I mentioned, our grand prize winner, who also receives the title of America's Top Young Scientist, receives $25,000 in cash. All of our top 10 finalists receive $1,000 in cash, and they are also invited to participate in a one-on-one mentorship with a 3M scientist. So once we figure out who our 10 finalists are, we pair them with a scientist who's actively working at 3M as a working scientist to help them really bring their idea to life. So building out a prototype, seeing what the effects of the current market would be on this type of product, and how it can really be implemented in real life. These 10 finalists then travel to the 3M Innovation Center in Minneapolis for a final event where they work together and individually to present their ideas and also work on a few other challenges that we have up our sleeve at this final event as well. And then we wrap up that weekend with an awards banquet for everyone to celebrate all of these great accomplishments. In addition to our top 10 finalists, we also have state merit winners. So there's the opportunity, in addition to the 10 finalists, for up to 51 state merit prizes. And these can vary each year. In the past, we've given away tablets. We've given away mobile projectors and video cameras. So it really does vary each year. We're still trying to figure out what we're going to do this year, but definitely will be an exciting prize. So a little bit more into the summer mentorship. All of our 10 finalists, as I mentioned, are paired with a scientist, and each finalist connects with that mentor all summer long. The mentorship runs from June through October till the final event, where they finally get to meet in person and interact right before the final event and get those little last-minute pieces to their project worked out. The finalists then present that idea that they've been working on with their mentor in October at the final event. So some key dates. Right now, we are actively gearing up to get our 2014 challenge open for registration and entries. So the date that I'm sure you're all thinking of, when do entries open and when will I be able to find out information about the 2014 challenge? That's going to be in late December. So right around the holiday period, I would start checking your emails, checking our Facebook pages. If you haven't already done so and you want to be up to date on all of our opt-in emails, go to www.youngscientistchallenge.com, and I'll have that URL up here in just a minute, and opt in for our emails. We don't send out too many. It's really just about the program. So if you want to know when those are entered or when it's open for entries, that's how the best way to find out. But again, that'll be late December of this year. And that's when we'll announce all of our entry topics for this year. All the rules and everything will be posted there for the 2014 challenge. Another key date I just wanted to bring to your attention is the last day to enter the competition, which will be April 22nd of 2014. So the challenge will be open for just over 4 months. And yeah, we hope to see your videos come in. And as Brett mentioned, I'm the program coordinator manager person for this this program, and please feel free to reach out to us. We are more than happy to take questions that may come up. And if you think of something after today's presentation, please feel free to contact us at this email address, which is ysc@discovery.com. That comes directly to me, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Brett, do you want me to go through who our finalists will be today?
Yeah, sure. That'd be great.
Sure. I wanted to give you a few pictures here so you can have a visual to add to their great talks. This is Srijay Kasturi. Srijay was a 2013 finalist, so he just got back from the 3M Innovation Center a little over a month ago. I'll let him fill you in on all of his great topic areas. And this is Chase Lewis. Chase Lewis was a finalist last year when we were actually at the 3M Innovation Center together just over a year ago. And again, great inventions from both of them that I will let them share. And again, here is that website that I mentioned. That's where you can sign in for opt-ins. And I'll leave that up on the screen just for a second so you can grab anything that you need to from there.
Okay. And a reminder again, this is being recorded. So thank you, Megan, for that. I just wanted to ask you one question directly first before we open up for Q&A. I think you told me that last year there were like 600 contestants?
Yes. It fluctuates every year, but we always get hundreds of entries every year.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to point out that if there's around 600 entries, there's about 60 winners between finalists and state merit. So folks have a pretty good chance of of winning this national competition. That strikes me. So what I'd like to do now is open up for Q&A, and so everybody who's out there listening in, feel free to click on the, take back control, click on the, enter your questions in here, and, I'm sorry, enter your questions in the question section on your go-to panel. And if your question is directed to anyone in particular, please, give their name. That's why I showed my slide here again, so that you could see the names of our panelists, so you can direct. So while we're waiting for you to get your questions together, I have a couple which I'd like to ask of each of our young finalists. So Chase and Srijay, I'll ask each of you one after the other. So starting with you, Chase, would you have come up with, well, tell us about your invention, and then tell us whether you would have come up with that idea if they hadn't had the Young Scientist Challenge.
Well, my invention was the rescue travois. It was based on an invention of the Native American Plains Indians. It was essentially a device that helped people in Africa during famines and other such periods of mass migration. Because in Africa, the average African family has 4 children, a number far too large for a possibly single parent to carry. And when those children became too weak to continue on during, for example, the Somali famine, parents were forced to decide which children lived and which children were left by the roadsides to die. I thought nobody should have to make such a decision, so I set to work trying to find a solution. One of the reasons I set to work trying to find a solution in this case was actually because of the 3M Young Scientist Challenge, the 3M Discovery Young Scientist Challenge. I don't think I would have actually invented it otherwise.
Oh, well, that's cool. And Srijay, how about you? Can you briefly describe your invention and what was the motivation for that?
So my invention is called Stride. It's a device that that alerts visually impaired users of objects in their path that they might bump into as they're walking. And my motivation for that was I wanted to create some kind of way so that people don't bump into stuff, because especially when you have when you can't see well, then you just, it's really hard to make sure that you don't bump into stuff, especially if you have something like glaucoma where you can't see the stuff around you. You don't have very good peripheral vision.
Right. Cool. Well, listen, I want to. We have a question now for your mom. So I'll address each of you. Sudita, Melissa would like to know, when did you begin science education with Srijay, and what curriculums did you use? I'm sorry, Sudita, we've lost your voice somehow.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you perfectly.
Okay, sorry. My background is in the sciences, and my husband is an engineer, and science is kind of, I guess, in the background in our house, but we started homeschooling when Srijay was in the 3rd grade and formal science curriculum in the 3rd grade. The curriculum that I feel most passionately about and that we do right now is the Building Foundations for Scientific Understanding by Dr. Nebel. It spans kindergarten through middle school. And we do that for our family and with some other friends and other people in the Northern Virginia area.
So, Dita, let me ask you to repeat the curriculum, because I'm sure people were probably scribbling notes. So it was Building Foundations for what?
For Scientific Understanding.
Scientific Understanding. And the author is?
Dr. Bernard Nebel, N-E-B-E-L.
N-E-B-E-L. Okay, great. And let me switch over to Michelle. How about you?
I have to admit that we do not use any kind of formal curriculum with regard to science. Chase is an avid reader, and he learns much of what he knows about science through various science magazines he reads. He subscribes to New Scientist, Discover, Wired, Popular Science. I know I'm missing one or two. And he reads them from front to back. Also, he learns a lot from Discovery Education streaming, and I've told any homeschooler this when I can get them to stand still for a second, which is that we started with Discovery Education streaming when Chase was 5, and there is no way that I would ever have done homeschooling without Discovery Education, because Chase had questions about cancer when he was 6 and he wanted to understand it, and only Discovery Education could deliver it to him in a way that made it understandable. When he took the test after he looked at the video, he got 87% right. For a 6-year-old, that was pretty amazing. I knew I had found the answer for when he asked questions. I'm also fortunate enough that my father's a rocket scientist. He helped save the astronauts on Apollo 13, and he is my son's mentor, and he lives 10 minutes away, so that helps.
Oh, that's very cool. Well, since we're making plugs for Discovery, I'd like to make a plug that the co-op does have the best deal on the planet for the subscription you were talking about, Discovery Education Streaming Plus. And if you go to the co-op website and you go to the teaching resources section, and on that page you'll see Discovery Streaming Plus right here, and that retails for $365, but co-op members currently get it for $199. So that's the subscription that that Michelle was referring to. This question is for you, Meghan. Mangum is wondering, are there example submission videos that folks can see that have been submitted by other kids?
I just realized I'm on mute. Sorry about that. There actually are. So at our website, www.youngscientistchallenge.com, we have archives of, I believe it's the past 6 years, so going back quite a while, of all of our past finalists, and on those little bios about them, and also links to all of their entry videos. So that's a great way to find similar submissions to this year's competition. I'll also direct you to, we just started a YouTube page, so if you go to www.youtube.com/YoungSci, SCI, challenge, you'll find us there as well. And there's a pretty good compilation of all of our 2013 entry videos, as well as a few of our past winners, their entry videos as well.
Excellent. I'd like to jump in with a question of my own. Again, I'll ask you first, Chase, was it hard for you to come up with your idea?
That's a tough question. Was it hard for me to come up with my idea? I thought about it for a while, and it took me quite a while to come up with it. But when I got the idea, after that, it wasn't all that hard puzzling through it. So I think coming up with an idea, it's more of a momentary inspiration often. And so it's very hard to say whether it was hard or not, but I think it just takes time and thinking about, I want to do something. What exactly am I going to do for a while? And eventually you'll find something. So.
Right. How about you, Srijay? What was your process for coming up with your idea?
So originally I had a different idea, and so my Stride was actually came as a process of me building upon a previous invention that I had worked on. So the invention that I had worked on is the one that you'll see if you go to the website, and it's the video that I submitted. However, during the mentoring process, I created a new invention in 3 months. Surprisingly, I managed to do it. But so I ended up building upon what I had submitted before.
Okay. And let me ask you a follow-up question from Yesh, who asks, what are 3 things you would do in preparing the videos and 3 things you would not do, based on your experience? It doesn't have to be 3, obviously, or whatever.
So actually, I am working on a video about these kind of topics. Meghan's asked me to create that video, and it will be coming out, I think, sometime in January. So stay tuned for that one. But my 3 things are: make your video about the invention, and that I feel is really important because you want to highlight how amazing your invention is, and also just communicate your idea in the simplest terms so that the most amount of people can understand what it is, and just make sure you put a lot of effort into it, and it's definitely worth it.
That was a great learning experience for you, sounds like.
Yeah, definitely was.
How about Chase? Do you have any tips or suggestions for other kids who are thinking about doing this?
Well, let's see. Give me a second. Tips or suggestions? I'd say just if you try really hard and you use all the resources you can to the best of your ability, I think you'll do well. And just try to be innovative and think outside the box. And I know people have been told that time and time again, but really it's great advice.
Right. Let me ask you another question, Chase. So you were a finalist, and so you did get to meet a real scientist at 3M and work with them, right?
Uh-huh.
How did that go for you?
That was quite fun, and it was good to work with him, and he gave me some good ideas. And I think it was a great opportunity for me.
Uh-huh. How about you, Srijay? How did that go for you?
Oh, I had an amazing experience during the mentorship program. Dr. Jonesa was my mentor, and it's just amazing to work with him because he has so much knowledge and he's so willing to give it to you.
Right. I'll bet that would be a lot of fun. Meghan, Lisa is asking if there are pictures published of the inventions, or are there just the videos describing the inventions?
There are. So the videos that are up on the website and on YouTube are actually the entry videos. So as you saw with Srijay, he actually changed his idea during the mentorship process and kind of used the same technologies but in a new way. So the entry videos definitely are what they've entered with, but if you go to, on the site there's an area called the media room, and there we have videos and pictures. You'll see pictures from the final event, and those pictures will include the students actually presenting their ideas. And so you'll see kind of what the room looks like when they're presenting, and then that'll also include their prototypes as well.
Okay, so I guess they'd go into the media gallery here.
Yep, the media gallery there. We have our 2013 photo gallery, and that has pictures from the entire final event, which, as I mentioned before, includes a few other challenges in addition to this final presentation of this big project that the students have been working on.
Okay.
And I should also mention at this time that if you are at the website, by December, we are updating the website, so don't be alarmed if it looks a bit different now than it does in a few months.
Okay. Well, thanks for the heads up on that. So another question I have for Srijay and Chase, I'll start with you, Chase. Is there, tell us what's happened. Actually, I'm just going to address this to Chase because I'm asking about what's happened since your invention, and Srijay just won, so obviously there hasn't been time for much to happen. But for you, Chase, it's been over a year. Has anything happened with your invention since you won the Young Scientists Finalists Challenge?
Well, hang on. Are you getting audio? Because
yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right,
fine.
now it's okay. Sorry. So I entered it into another competition. The EPAL Smithsonian Invented Competition, or Invented Challenge, and I won for my age group, and I got a patent for my device, which was awesome, or a patent application. It's still pending. And recently I've started work on another invention, another one for saving people in need of help. This one is for launching smoke masks, oxygen canisters possibly, and miniature fire extinguishing grenades and stuff like that into the upper stories of burning buildings to give people in the upper stories more time for firefighters to come and rescue them, which is often not available.
Right. It's all about time of response. I mean, timing is very critical in that situation. So that's very, very good idea.
Thank you.
One thing I'd like to come back to our moms here, and Sudita and Michelle. I'll start with you, Sudita, and ask, just from the mom's perspective, is there any kinds of advice that you have for any folks who are maybe considering encouraging their kids to do something like this?
I think the best piece of advice I have for that is to let them think stuff through. Be there to support them, provide whatever tools they need, encourage them. The creative process is a very individual process, but it comes with its ups and downs. Srijay struggled for 3 weeks over the summer to just get his program to work. And, it was a very frustrating process. My husband kind of knew where he was stuck, but it had to be Srijay's thought process that had to go in there. So, we could help him think, but we couldn't do it for him. We didn't want to do it for him. So I think the best thing is, and give them time, because these things take a lot of time. In the course of this year, between what he submitted as the entry video, which was a project he was working on, and then we found out about the Young Scientist Challenge and he submitted, and then what he worked on for the final, from February to October, in 8 months, Srijay came up with 2 prototypes, which involved a lot of time. So, after schoolwork and stuff like that was done, the afternoons, sometimes the weekends, he spent a lot of time tinkering on the stuff. And I think giving them that time and that freedom to think and explore things is very, very important, and is a valuable lesson for that. And then, of course, in the summer, we scheduled everything around Srijay's call with Dr. Jones, and, we put off a vacation because it was important for him to be working on the invention and being available when Dr. Jones was available, and doing, what he needed to do for his invention.
Great. And how about you, Michelle?
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Okay, great. I guess the one thing, because I know our time is running out, that I would say is when you start to do the videos, make sure that you look up on Discovery Education Streaming or you look somewhere else for advice on how to storyboard a video. And I think that's the thing that took Chase the absolute longest, was to figure out how do you sync up the images in your video with what you want to say. And he ended up with pieces of paper all strewn out in 2 rows along our living room floor, and each piece of paper would have, on the first row, would have what the image is going to be, and then on the second row of paper, each piece of paper would have what the text was going to be. And it took a long time for him to be able to get it down to 2 minutes. So my advice would be leave in plenty of time for storyboarding your video.
Okay, great. And that prompts me to ask Meghan, do you have, what sort of advice do you have folks for the kind of the mechanics of putting together a video? Is there any links or recommendations along those lines?
Of course. Our website is actually full of resources for both the students themselves and also parents and teachers to go in and work on storyboarding with our classrooms, or even introduce the new topics to the students in a way that allows for brainstorming. So Michelle brings up a great resource. There is a storyboarding template on our website as well. That'll be in the teacher resources. That is really helpful in starting to think about how can I communicate this clearly and concisely. I would also say, though, just having been through several of the challenges myself, I really find that passion is what drives some of our best ideas. So really challenging your students to think about what is a problem that they feel strongly about, that they feel passionately about. I think you've heard it here from both of our wonderful finalists today, but their ideas really stemmed from something that kind of impacted them on a personal level. So that would be, to me, my advice definitely for a successful video.
Excellent. You can see I'm on the teacher tools section. I'm not quite seeing the storyboarding.
I can send a link to that.
Michelle, also, I know you wanted to send me a link, so if you'll do that through the chat, I can share that with our audience. Okay, and Meghan, if I'm going to ask you to walk and chew gum at the same time here, we have a question which I'll direct to you from Prabha.
Sure.
Which is, can students who are currently in the 8th grade register?
Yes. So for the grade ranges, because we do span 2 school years, the 5th through 8th requirement is when they enter. So as of April 22nd, 2014, the student must be within the grade range of 5th through 8th.
Okay. And for everybody on the call, Michelle would like to share a link where you can find out about Chase's rescue travelway. I'm going to just pop that in here and send it out to our entire audience. That's pretty cool. Meghan, you were looking up something?
Yes, I'll have to send that. Of course. Boys, I need you guys to help me think of a technology that will keep my computer alive for more than 2 hours. My computer screen just went down. So I will send that to you after the fact, and hopefully we can send that out to the group.
Possibly a new computer?
Yes, that could be it. That could do it.
That would be Chase's first choice as a new computer.
Thanks, Chase.
Okay. Well, I'd like to. I want to say to the audience that this is we're going to wrap it up now, or very shortly. So if you have any last-minute question, please submit it right now. And I would like to also just go around our panelists and see if there's any kind of last-minute thoughts or anything. Starting with you, Meghan. Any comments?
Sure. I really think that this is an opportunity for students to use science and engineering to have fun. So first and foremost, definitely think about this opportunity as a challenge-based learning experience. the outcome if the student is chosen as a finalist or a winner is wonderful as well. But even that process of entering can have a really big impact on students. We see a lot of people year after year who have entered, maybe haven't made it the first year. The next year we see them enter as a state merit winner and win as a state merit winner, and then finally later on become a finalist. There's a real progression that we see in these students, and it's exciting to see the process have an impact on them.
Okay, I'm just going to open it up to the panel, which I said I wouldn't do, so forgive me. But anybody else have any last-minute thoughts?
This is Michelle. And can you hear me again?
I can hear you just great.
Okay, so my last minute thought is that start early as parents and kids, just brainstorming. When you're driving down the road, ask your child, can you think of something that doesn't work well? Can you think of something you could make better? What's annoyed you recently because it didn't work the way you want? And just put those questions out there. I think we did that for about a month, and then Chase hit on what he really wanted to do. But a lot of wacky ideas came up before then, but it got the juices flowing.
Right. I think that's a great idea. I also I shared Chase's website, so I want to also let you all see Srijay has got his website up, and he's seems like this experience, Srijay, really got you into filmmaking or video making.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of video making. It's been my passion, so that's one thing that really attracted me to the Young Scientist Challenge, is because I had to submit a video of my invention. Yeah.
Well, thank you, and I'm sure that would have been a great experience. So anyway, I'd like to, at this time, Megan, unless you have any last thing?
Nope, I'm all set. Thank you.
We'll wrap it up. Well, again, thank you, everybody that has taken the time to join us today, and especially I'd like to thank Megan and our homeschooling panelists for being so generous, with their time and suggestions. So with that, we're going to sign off. Thank you, everybody. I'll record this, and I'll just show you here quickly. You go to the co-op website, and you go to the webinar section. You'll see there's an archive webinars page, and there'll be a link for you to view this again if you'd like to do that. So that's all for now, folks. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.